This video is sponsored by CuriosityStream. Get access to my streaming service Nebula when you sign up for CuriosityStream at the link below. This is not a phone. Or at least that's not how you should view this piece of technology. Instead, you should look at this thing as a powerful computer, nearly as powerful as the other computers you use, but a more annoying one and a more distracting one since it probably goes with you everywhere that you go. So like I mentioned in my recent video about how to focus when you're working from home, I've been recently trying to redefine my relationship with my smartphone. And that includes doing things like putting it on the other side of my office when I'm working during the day, keeping it on Do Not Disturb for most of the workday, and once we're able to go out into the world again, I'm also gonna be experimenting with keeping it in my backpack when I go out instead of having it in my pocket. But this whole process of redefinition also extends to the setup of the phone itself, the apps that are on it, and some other settings as well. So this video is gonna be kind of a what's on my iPhone video. I'm gonna show you how I organize my phone, show you some of the useful apps on it that I think are gonna be interesting to you. But before I do that, I wanna reorganize my phone and get rid of some of the things that don't need to be here. And I thought it might be useful to do this on a video so you can kind of see my thought process and maybe go and do the same thing on your own phone. If you wanna follow along at home, here is the series of questions that I ask myself for each of these apps. First and foremost, do I actually use this app? I've got a whole bunch of apps on my phone that I just have not used for years, and for some of them, I don't even remember downloading them. Now, there is one exception to this question, which is if you feel reasonably certain that you're gonna use an app again in the future, even if you're not using it currently right now. So for instance, this UDisc app is an app that actually shows you the location of Frisbee golf parks or disc golf parks. And this is something that I want to go do with my fiance at some point, so I'm going to go ahead and keep that app here. Second question, is this app needlessly duplicating functionality that I have on another device? And I know of a couple of examples already that I can get rid of off my phone. I have MuseScore, which is like a piano sheet music app. I've got that on my iPad, which functions much more like a piece of sheet music than a tiny little phone when I'm practicing piano. So I don't need that on this phone. Additionally, I really know that I don't need the YouTube Studio app. This is an app that lets me look at analytics on my videos, which also just causes anxiety sometimes. So I think it's a much better idea for me to go proactively look at analytics when I think it is actually strategically a good idea to do so on my computer. And this is something that you should be keeping in mind in general. You want to make sure that you're working proactively, not reactively, as much as you possibly can. So if you have apps on your phone that are constantly pulling at your attention and not really giving you that much value, then you may not really need them in the first place. So the third question that I think is useful to ask is, are the benefits of any specific app, are they outweighed by the drawbacks? You know, we have such an easy time downloading apps onto our phone that we often will justify doing so because it just gives us one tiny benefit. And in Cal Newport's book, Deep Work, he calls this the any benefit approach, where we will add a tool or a process or really anything to our lives just because it has, any kind of benefit. And we don't stop to think, what are the drawbacks? And are they worse than the benefits that we're getting here? So in the case of Twitter, I would say this pulls at my attention more than I would like it to. And again, it's just duplicating functionality that I have on my computer. I can easily tweet. I don't need to do it in line at the grocery store. So it is going bye-bye. And the final question that I ask myself after I've gone through all the others is this app a time suck? And if so, can I mitigate against it? So a good example here is the YouTube app. I'm keeping this on my phone because I actually pay for YouTube Premium for this purpose. I like to put videos on and turn the screen off and kind of use them as podcasts. And then I will go for long bike rides or long skating sessions, and I will listen to videos on my phone sometimes. But I don't want it to be a time suck. So there are some things that you can do if you want to keep an app on your phone, but you want to mitigate against that possibility. First and foremost, like I mentioned earlier in the video, it's really good if you can just keep your phone away from you as much as possible. Keep it on the other side of a room or in a different room. Put it in your backpack if you're going places. But beyond that, on iOS specifically, there is a function called screen time. And with screen time, you can do a couple of interesting things. First and foremost, you can set app limits either for specific apps or for groupings of apps. So if I turn this on, I can say, 15 minutes of Instagram every day is a limitation that I want to set, but I could also just say, all social networking has a limit of, let's just say, like 30 minutes. So this would let me quickly check things, maybe post a couple of things since that is part of my job, but then it's not going to be a problem for the rest of the day. Additionally, with screen time, you can add downtime. So you can just say the phone is basically not usable from 10 p.m. to 7 a.m., which is pretty useful. And there's one other really, really powerful mitigation tactic, but I'm going to talk about that later on in the video. For now, I'm finally done going through my phone, getting rid of apps that I know I don't need, and this is now how my phone is organized. And if you've seen my previous iPhone videos, it doesn't look a whole lot different. I've got my most frequently accessed apps on the home page. I think including the home row here, we've got 24 apps, which I'll kind of go over in a second. And then over on this page, we have our folders. I have added a music folder so I can very easily access a couple of music specific apps. And also because I know some of you are going to be annoyed by the fact that I don't have complete rows here and there's one just sort of hanging out in a second row there. So a couple of different apps that I want to focus on here and highlight. Number one, Roam QC. So in my previous video, I talked about Roam Research and how I'm using it as my main research note-taking app right now. And like I said, there is not a Roam app. There's no Roam iPhone app, no Roam Android app, but there is the ability to create links from Safari to specific websites and put them on your home screen. So that is exactly what I've done. And this basically just launches a Roam tab and lets me easily quick capture an idea that I have and then sync it to my Roam database later. Another really frequently used one, possibly one of the most useful apps on my phone, is actually the stock voice memos app. I get random ideas for videos or something I want to say in a video that I'm already working out comes to me, and I like to talk it out into my phone. Another quite frequently used app is Notion. I basically run my entire business out of Notion, and I also write all my video scripts there. So once I'm done with a video script on my computer, I will often open it up on my phone to do practice runs. And sometimes I actually use the phone as a little bit of an assistance device. I'll put it up on a music stand, especially if I'm using my iPad for something else. But I've actually got my iPad with Notion doing the exact same thing over here, which I'll just show you. It's just sitting over here a little bit out of frame. Now we do have a couple of fun apps on my home screen. Fender Tune is the app that I use to tune my guitar. It works perfectly well. I always use the auto tune function, and I can just, number one, I can tap it to hear what the string is supposed to sound like. And then it will automatically tell me if I'm in tune when I actually strum the strings of my guitar. I've also got an app called Real Good here. So I often get the idea to watch a movie, or I get the idea to watch a TV show, or I'll get a recommendation. And I used to just shove these things into Todoist or Evernote, but this app actually lets you get kind of like a dedicated place to track the things you want to watch. So I will just track movies that I want to see, and this kind of lets me know that, oh yeah, I did want to see that movie, and then I'll go mark it and say that I did watch it if I did, though I haven't watched Minority Report yet. Don't spoil it in the comments. Actually, I can't look at the comments now. Uh-oh. Strava I use for tracking my cycling distance and my running distance. Unfortunately, it does not track inline distance along with calories, so I'm kind of having to choose between one of the two, and I'm kind of leaning towards calories right now since I do a lot of weird circles and don't actually go for distance every time when I skate. But the really, really big one here is True Coach. So I started working with a lifting coach recently. His name is Matt Reynolds, and he runs a business called Barbell Logic, if you are curious. And essentially, 4 times a week, I have to work out. And not only do I have to work out, I have to film my final sets. And I have to actually send in my final sets and all the reps that I did to my coach. And then he breaks down my form.
Overhead press looks great. This is the right sort of rotation that we want.
But there's also a huge amount of built-in accountability there. Now, there's not any money on the line or anything, but the fact that I respect my coach and the fact that he is expecting me to get my videos in on the day that I have an assigned workout means that I absolutely get my workouts done. So this app just kind of makes that a really easy process. I film it with my phone, I trim the videos, I I upload them. I give them a little bit of feedback if there's anything that I have a concern about. And just as with the Apple Watch here, this helps me to stay active and also make real progress in my lifts and my overall strength. Now, earlier in the video, I mentioned there was one more trick you could use to mitigate against distracting apps that you chose to keep on your phone, such as YouTube, which I do have legitimate uses for sometimes, but it can also be a bit of a time suck. Well, if you go into the settings app, you can find the app in question, which is YouTube here. Go to this search area, and we can actually disable it from showing in search and disable the app from showing in search as well. And once you've done that, now when you swipe down, you are not going to see it in that search suggestions area. And if you search for it, it's not going to be there either. So again, it's just creating a little bit of increased friction so it doesn't become a distraction. Now, talking about YouTube specifically, other than its potential for being such a distraction, one other big gripe that a lot of people, including myself, have with it is, well, the algorithm and how it makes it difficult for creators to branch out and try new things, which is why I recently got together with a bunch of other fellow creators and built Nebula. If you haven't heard about it, Nebula is a creator-owned streaming service where you can watch all of my videos without ads and where myself and other creators have a place to branch out and, well, try new things. And alongside all of my content, you'll also find other creators there like Wendover Productions, Ali Abdal, Lindsay Ellis, Legal Eagle, and dozens more. And like I said, we are trying out new things. For instance, my friend Brian from Real Engineering has a series on the logistics of D-Day. Tom Scott recently released this awesome game show called Money, and I even have an exclusive episode on a series called Working Titles, all about the secrets hidden in the intro of Gravity Falls, which is one of my favorite TV shows of all time. But the best part is that we've teamed up with CuriosityStream and bundled Nebula with it. So when you sign up at curiositystream.com/Thomas, you'll not only get access to thousands of high-quality documentaries and other titles on CuriosityStream, like The Science of Sleep and David Attenborough's Light on Earth, which is a deep dive into bioluminescence, one of the coolest concepts in all of nature, but you'll also get free access to Nebula for as long as you're a CuriosityStream subscriber. And right now is a particularly good time to sign up, as you can get a full year of CuriosityStream for just $11.99. So that's literally $1 per month to get thousands of high-quality documentaries, ad-free videos, and original content over on Nebula, and to support your favorite online creators. And there's even a 31-day free trial, so you can try before you buy. So once again, head over to curiositystream.com/Thomas and sign up, and thank you if you do. Thank you for watching this video as well, by the way. Hopefully you found this helpful, and if you did, maybe consider hitting that like button to show the YouTube algorithm what's up. Otherwise, you can subscribe right there, click right there to get one more video on this channel. Potentially follow me on Instagram if you want access to bonus tip videos that I'm putting up over there every now and then. And I think that's it for my ending spiel. So, if you want, don't do any of that and go do exactly what it is that you want to do, because I'm not your dad.